Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Chris Weller and I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Allica Bank. I just wanted to take a moment to welcome you all today and thank you for joining us. I know this is an incredibly busy time, but hopefully what we're discussing today will be of real value for you and your business as we prepare for life working through and beyond COVID-19. Just quickly, for those of you who've not heard of Allica Bank before, we're a new business bank. We're building Allica Bank with the sole mission of empowering small and medium-sized businesses to succeed. That means an easy-to-use digital banking experience, but supported by real local relationships and expertise. And this is the reason behind us putting together the SME Guide to Success and these webinars. We wanted to do something that could tangibly help small and medium-sized businesses as they try to adapt to this new reality that we find ourselves in. We commissioned an independent report undertaken by the Centre for Economics and Business Research to understand some of the key drivers of success for small and medium-sized companies. Having surveyed over 1,000 businesses, we've been able to identify 6 key factors that have a clear impact in driving the success of the top performing businesses in that survey. Those factors were regularly trained staff, focus on innovation and technology, having a formal long-term vision, broaden your customer reach and find new markets, develop a reinvestment plan to strengthen your business, engage with local business organisations and networks. Now, whilst no two businesses are the same, it was clear from the results that these rules could be harnessed by any small business, and that consideration of how they apply individually to your company as we face into the challenges presented by COVID-19 could have a real impact on your success going forward. In order to support businesses in doing this, we've partnered with other organisations, experts in these areas, to provide insight and analysis on each factor, including the host of today's webinar. Our goal has not been just to share ideas, but also to provide practical solutions and information that you can consider and start acting upon in your business right away. We really do hope that you find it useful, and you can also access the full report on our website at www.allica.bank. Today, though, we'll be focusing in for a deeper dive on just one of those factors. So that's all from me for now. I'll hand over now to our host to crack on with the webinar. Thanks ever so much for your time.
Thanks for the introduction, Chris. It's great to be here. My name is Andy Taylor and I work on behalf of Innovate UK, delivering their innovation and growth services package to SMEs across the north of England. We work with ambitious and high growth potential organisations on a daily basis to help them get better at developing the products and services that are novel, disruptive and desirable for emerging markets. So I'm a material scientist and nanotechnologist, and I spent a number of years developing new products for high-tech sectors such as optical communications, brand protection and defence. This experience has taught me that there's far more to innovation than just having a good idea. Having a good idea is just the start to your innovation journey. If your business is to be serious about innovation and successful, then you'll need to embed innovation as a process within your business. Innovation and innovation management is a large subject area, and today I'll give an overview of where to start when considering how to improve your innovation capability. So I'm going to start by defining innovation, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit more about why we innovate. I'll also mention a warning, because innovation is not without its challenges. And then I'll talk about barriers to innovation, and a few tips around where to start. We're considering perhaps the customer, some innovation tools that can help you as well. And then we're going to talk about innovation management as a process and how you fund that process on your projects, and as how to accelerate the process of innovation, and also a few case studies to show you what success can look like. So let's get started. First, I'd like to give an introduction to Innovate UK and what it is we do. So Innovate UK, it's the UK's innovation agency. It supports SMEs to enable innovation through project funding and bespoke advice. Ultimately, our aim is to help you achieve commercial success with your ideas and to grow and scale as a business. So that's why, in addition to the grant funding competitions and loans and other funded programs such as KTPs, we also provide ambitious businesses with bespoke innovation management coaching to meet their other needs around growth. So what exactly is innovation? If you ask 10 business leaders what innovation was, you'd probably get 10 different answers. Innovation means very different things to different people. Just what do we mean by innovation in the context of SMEs though? We're going to talk today about what it is, why we do it, and we'll touch on how to approach innovation and how to accelerate and reduce the risk of innovation. So here's the definition of innovation that we quite often use. Successful exploitation of a new product, service or process, organisation or business model which is new to a company, new to a market or new to the world. However, there's much more to it than this, and a lot of activity has to take place before innovation can be defined as successful. Innovation is a big subject area. We could therefore simplify this definition and consider that a business thinking about doing something differently in order to create more value anywhere within its activities could be seen as innovating. The key to successful exploitation is therefore how the organisation identifies, implements and ultimately manages these innovation activities. And just to note, these activities could be fundamental activities such as defining your vision, they could be strategic in nature, they could be organisational, creative, operational or cultural, or all of the above. So why do we innovate? A business that stands still and does not innovate in some way is at risk of being overtaken by competitors, or simply not realising its full potential. In an increasingly fast-changing world, if you do not react and respond, you risk failure as your competitors overtake you. Recent world events are exposing those who cannot move quickly and respond to a rapidly changing marketplace. Innovation will help you sharpen up. Besides the more obvious benefits of innovation, such as better products and services, and more customers and sales, here's a list of some of the reasons why you would choose to innovate. Obviously, enhanced growth and profitability should be high up your list of reasons to innovate. But creating a business that is sustainable in the long term and more resilient to market disruption and can move with the times and outpace your competitors has to be an attractive proposition to any SME. Perhaps maximising your business value is high on your list and your attractiveness to investors or being acquired. Then we have the people side of innovation, such as retaining your employees and being appealing to the best new recruits as you grow as a business. Be in no doubt though that breaking out of the business as usual can be hard. It often involves risk, it can be costly and feel very uncomfortable to many. There will be challenges and resistance along the way and there's no guarantees of success. However, the rewards for those with the right approach are there for the taking. You don't have to look far to see examples of successful innovation and how they can be transformational for a business. Take the modern smartphone as an example. A technology that came of age through the maturity and integration of a number of technologies. Whilst the iPod was a great success for Apple, the iPhone was truly transformational for the business. Behind the scenes though, Apple will never stand still. They're always looking to develop, streamline, create, invent, protect and increase the value of the brand. All these activities demand the need for embedded processes within the business. It's these embedded innovation processes that have been the key to their success. Before we consider some specific innovation topics, let's take a look at what the barriers are to successful innovation. It's very common for early stage SMEs in particular to get lost in the detail of making, creating and doing. We encounter it a lot. The lack of a long-term strategy that is written down and communicated could lead to a lack of direction at best, but at worst, completely wasted time and effort. If that sounds like you, then start by developing a vision for your business, and then once you're happy with that, develop your strategy to achieve it. Perhaps you don't have a growth plan that clearly outlines how you're going to achieve the year-on-year growth that you're looking for. Or perhaps you haven't considered your customers' needs and what the market wants, and we'll go into that in a little more detail in a minute. Maybe your current management structure is holding you back, and a process of restructuring within the business is needed. Or maybe it's a lack of funding that's holding you back. You've got some great ideas, I know how to do it, but you don't have the cash to fund it. There are processes to learn here too. Maybe your culture is unsuitable for what you're trying to do as a business, or your internal processes are just not set up to develop and nurture good ideas and promote growth. There's another process to help there. There's also the case where you need to access external knowledge, resources and technology. Perhaps partnering is the key, so-called open innovation. So if any of this sounds like you, then you have work to do. So where do I start, I hear you ask? A good place to start is to consider your ambition as a business. Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years' time? What does success look like? This is your organisation's vision. This can be a considerable exercise in itself that should involve all the key decision makers within the business. Part of this exercise might be to consider your strategic context as an organisation. This helps you make sense of the environment you operate in, and classic tools like SWOT, PESTLE and Porter's 5 forces are often used here. Once you've defined your vision and understand your context, you can begin to think about what you need to do. Your innovation journey is well and truly begun. This slide also outlines some of the other areas that you should be considering. Let's consider another fundamental area that you may choose to start with, namely understanding your customer and defining your value proposition. Innovation often relates to how a business organises itself internally to achieve success. This could be the way the business is structured, or perhaps how it demonstrates good leadership. It could be about developing your sales and marketing strategy to sell your existing products and services. Or it could be about introducing new manufacturing processes and achieving efficiencies. These are generally known as incremental innovation. However, looking outside your organisation and analysing what your customer wants and how you're going to deliver that may lead to more radical innovation. So what could this process look like? In short, it's all about understanding your customer and letting this drive your value proposition. We still regularly see products and services that must have sounded like a good idea at the time, but are a sales disaster once they reach the market. Embedding a process within your business that evaluates and tests ideas from a customer-driven perspective can save you a lot of time and money. Quickly kill the poor ideas to invest in testing and developing the promising ones. So there's a myriad of theories and tools out there to help you do this. But one of the best we consistently use in our coaching programs is the Value Proposition Canvas and Business Model Canvas. The Value Proposition Canvas helps you to understand your customer and target their needs. The Business Model Canvas is there to help you develop your approach to how you would deliver that value to your customer and make money from it. And all of this can be done from within the safety of your organisation prior to committing yourselves fully. We'd highly recommend you looking at these tools. Grant funding is a great way to facilitate innovation in your organisation. It's an enabling factor that reduces the financial risk of innovation. The process of writing an application in itself will often make you think about all the aspects of successful innovation. Also, many grant-funded projects require academic and industrial partners, and the rewards of being part of larger projects with multiple partners are many. However, finding the right funding competition is one thing, but developing your capability to write a worthy proposal is a different matter altogether. Also, seeking private investment for your innovation requires that you understand the fundamentals of innovation that we've already touched upon. Preparing an effective investor pitch deck is another skill that requires learning. Learning those skills from those that have done this previously and know their territory will be key to your success with both grant funding and private finance, and a good innovation management coach will be able to help here. In theory, innovation can sound relatively straightforward, but when you start to do it, there's often a long and winding road to achieving the success we talked about earlier. Innovation management attempts to apply a process-led approach and take away some of the inherent risks involved. There's even an ISO for innovation management, 56002, which lays out a company-wide approach to managing innovation. Well worth checking this out. We've already talked about some of the approaches and tools you might consider, but we would argue that it's a good idea to seek help, especially because it is hard to take time out from running a busy business to really give innovation the careful thought it deserves. Having a fresh pair of eyes helping you to see the things you can't see because you're so immersed in the day-to-day running of your business can be invaluable. So what does success look like? I'd like to show you 2 case studies that are as a result of the innovation and growth services support that we've been delivering for a number of years now. Trust Electric Heating are a small but rapidly growing company with some of the most technologically advanced electric space heating systems on the market today. However, despite having some great ideas and superb intellectual property, they were struggling to take these to fruition due to funding constraints. A combination of strategic thinking workshops, grant funding proposal support, and helping the business to refine and perfect their approach to private investment has paid dividends. Trust Electric have had assistance from the Innovate UK Innovation and Growth Services package along with the Pitchfest programme. They have won Innovate UK grant funding and further private investment largely due to their engagement with these Innovate UK support services. They've also received an intellectual property audit to better define what they do with the value they create within the business. Midskip Farm Shop was an existing farming and retail business purchased by Emma and Ben Mosey in January 2017. The business is centred around the production of eggs and they have 6,000 chickens at their farm, located just off the A1 near Borough Bridge. Whilst the owners had a wealth of ideas about how to grow their business, they needed to develop their strategy to achieve the steady growth that they were aiming for. Ben and Emma are extremely passionate about helping their customers re-establish the connection with the food that they eat, and this vision is in the process of being realised through hard work and the application of innovation management principles. The company has built a new retail space and has now opened a cafe serving an egg-themed menu. The couple continue to promote their open door approach to farming with animals that can be interacted with throughout the farm, and the business is developing into a tourist attraction in its own right through the organisation of seasonal events. This was all assisted through the Innovation and Growth Services package. The business support landscape can be confusing to the uninitiated. However, let's keep it simple. We think these are the 3 best places to start your journey. Your local Enterprise Partnership Growth Hub will work closely with you to direct you towards the most relevant support. These could be national programmes or more local initiatives. They have a team of growth managers at hand to do this. As mentioned previously, Innovate UK have a support package to help you to develop your innovation management capability and address all the aspects of innovation that we've talked about today. The 0300 number gets you through to our business growth advisory services who can put you in touch with your local support organisation. Last but not least, the KTN is also there to support businesses and entrepreneurs in their innovation ambitions and in particular to forge powerful connections for ambitious projects. Some final thoughts then. Heraclitus once said that the only constant is change, but achieving a sustainable business against a backdrop of constant, turbulent political and global challenges can seem like an impossible task at the moment. Innovation can help you to navigate the choppy waters, achieve sustainability and drive your business forwards. And if approached in the right way, it can be transformational for you as a business. Finally, you don't have to do it alone. There's plenty of help out there once you step outside the day-to-day running of your organisation. Use this help to develop innovation processes that are relevant to you and embed them within your business to unlock your future success. Thanks very much for your attention today.
Thanks, Andy. Welcome, everybody. My name is Richard Cameron. I'm Head of Asset Finance for Allica Bank, and thank you, Andy, for a really thought-provoking presentation. Certainly, as a new bank seeking to be innovative, I can relate to a lot of the content that sits in that presentation. I've got the easy job now of asking some questions to our panelists. So I'm joined today by Andy, who just did the presentation, along with colleagues Jane and Glyn, who you can see on the screen. For those that are dialed in, please, there's a panel on your screen which allows you to type in any questions. So we have a short opportunity now to ask some questions for Andy, Jane and Glyn. I just want to test what we are using technology today. Just say hello, Andy, Glyn and Jane, just to make sure you're there.
Hello there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. That's a good start. Doesn't work quite so well when the panelists can't be heard. So guys, we've got some questions coming through. So the first question that's come through is a topical one, and it's actually for many of these Q&A sessions, it seems to be related. It's no surprise to COVID. So the question that's come through is what can innovation offer to businesses that are struggling due to coronavirus at this time?
Yes, this is a key question, Richard. And Jane actually is very well placed to answer this.
Thanks, Andy and Richard. I think that we see with the SMEs at the moment that everybody's business as usual has completely changed. It's been squeezed. It's been rapidly changed overnight, and really that has led to, you know, loss of orders, hard-won contracts not being signed, issues around cash flow, but also there's new opportunities as well. And the context of the changing landscape has given businesses that we're working with those opportunities. I'd say that, you know, in terms of innovation and Corona, it's about the key two things are, how do you shift a mindset towards looking at a new horizon, as in, how do I get myself out of this? How do you lift yourself away from all those juggling demands? And we offer that sort of support in that coaching way to be able to create a space to have that focus. I'm working with directors that have for the first time had the opportunity to actually work on the business. So that key area of being able to take the time out to really look afresh. And that's backed up by the second point, which is the toolkit. The toolkit helps, you know, Andy shared there the value proposition, the business model canvas. It just touches the surface on the toolkit that can help to just bring some structure when times do and are continuing to be very uncertain.
Thanks, Jane. Yes, and again, good to see that the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas. It's definitely an opportunity for people trading businesses that are affected by COVID to sit down and review what they've got and what actions they need to take to innovate and adapt. And you know, and many entrepreneurs are doing this, which is good to see. Thank you. Okay, so the next question we have come through is, when you are working with a business, what does a typical innovation interaction look like?
Thanks, Richard. Yes, I'll take that one. So first of all, you know, we're all about establishing what the organisation needs, and this, it should be noted that, you know, this could be very, very different from what the business thinks it needs. So firstly, we engage in, you know, conversation, ask some searching questions. But we have a tool that we use, which is called Growth Mapper. This asks the business leaders over 100 questions, and it relating to innovation, obviously. And this they take on an individual basis. So the key decision makers within the business would take the questionnaire on an individual basis. We bring the answers together and discuss the results, often with some very revealing outcomes. So that process really starts asking questions of the business, and it often highlights areas that we wouldn't ordinarily have discussed without that tool. So we then develop an action plan to address those key issues. And after that, there could be a mixture of workshop activity, further discussions, to develop those solutions that are needed, those processes within the business that are needed. And to aid with the key decision making, because quite often it's about having conversations and making difficult decisions. We're sort of facilitating that process. So there also could be introductions to other organisations, maybe organisations that are offering grant funding, or perhaps can solve some of the challenges that we've identified. So I suppose to sum up, it's a complex mixture of bespoke activity is what we're offering.
Yeah, and I guess every business is different, isn't it? So, you know, timelines and the amount of change will always be variable.
So.
Great stuff. Okay, so the next question that's come through is, how can innovation processes give you the edge in promoting your business when so many businesses are shouting so loudly?
I think Glenn's got some insight on this one.
Thanks, Andy, Richard. Yeah, it's a very, very noisy environment out there at the moment. Social media, advertising, everybody wants to get their message out there. There is an old saying in business, which arguably is more relevant than ever now, that facts tell, but stories sell. Now that is a truism, but it has stayed relevant simply because it is true. And the good thing about innovation is that in essence, it gives you a constant stream of new stories to tell in your communication with the potential marketplace. I've been working with a client for quite a few months now, and he runs an e-bike shop, an electric bike shop, and his wife runs an Italian restaurant. At the start of COVID, unfortunately, the restaurant had to close. So what the client did, with some discussion with us, was that he actually took the tables out of his restaurant and filled the space with electric bikes, and continued to operate a takeaway service via his wife out of the cooking facilities. The consequence of that was that he actually tripled his sale of electric bikes. And that really demonstrates how, by adapting your business model, adapting your operational procedures, and innovating in your creative thinking, can give you a story to tell. As a consequence of this, he actually secured slots on radio leads and a lot of media attention. He had a story to tell. And fundamentally, innovation gives you stories to tell. So please bear in mind, facts tell, but stories sell. And I think that really that is the key issue about innovation.
Thanks, Glenn. That's a really good example. And when you were saying that, I was just thinking around Tesla and, you know, the pace of innovation that business as a large corporate seems to run through. And it kind of, for me, that kind of story sell, that certainly resonated as an example.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Well, there looks like there's no more questions that have come through from the audience. So it's an opportunity for me just to firstly thank Andy for the presentation, for Andy, Jane and Glyn for taking the questions. Thank you very much for working that through. Thank you to everybody that's dialed in and taken time out to listen to this webinar. This is kind of, I guess, rule number 2, focus on innovation, which is the 6 rules of SME success, which has been developed by Allica to support SMEs. All of the information is available on our website, including the presentations. Contact details are obviously within the presentations, and there's free material there as well. And please, if this is something you want to follow through on, please reach out to Andy and the team. The details have been shared already, and obviously take up their services if they're of value to you. Thanks very much, everybody.